Okay, hi everyone. It's great to have all of you at our webinar, How to Give Superpowers to Your End Users today. My name is Asta. I'm from Cloud-Driven company. Those who have attended our Cloud-Driven webinars before, this time it's a little bit different from the previous ones we've had, but I'm really excited about this one. So we have international guests today, Jussi from Switzerland and Tracy from South Africa. And since we are located all over the world, we will be having a presentation for you and telling interesting things about the user engagement this way. Jussi and Tracy will introduce themselves soon and tell a little bit more why we are all here today and what's maybe coming in the future as well related to these webinars. The webinar will take about 45 minutes. We have the chat for you, so you can ask any questions during the webinar, and we will also share the webinar replay afterwards. So if you need to leave earlier or you want to share it with your colleagues later on, that will be just okay. So on my behalf, I will let Jussi and Tracy take over. Enjoy your webinar.
Okay, thank you, Asta, for the nice introduction. So hello, everyone. My name is Jussi. Welcome to this webinar on how to give superpowers to end users. So there's also Tracy with us from South Africa. Hello.
Hello everyone. Just checking again, we had some sound problems earlier, so just want to make sure that everyone can hear me.
Yes, we hear you fine.
Fantastic. So hello to everyone from a beautiful sunny day in South Africa. And I'm so excited to be here. Thanks guys for inviting me to do this with you, Jussi, and Asta for arranging everything.
Great. Okay, quickly, before we start going through the content, first a few words why we do this webinar. Tracy and I, we met in a SharePoint Saturday in Monaco, and we've discovered that we have similar topics we talk about in the conferences. So we decided to do a series of webinars together to inform about what we talk about. And our main topic is about end users and user adoption. And today we want to focus on a topic what Tracy is talking a lot. I think you also had a topic about that in iGniite in Orlando. It's about digital literacy. Yeah.
Cool. I absolutely did, yes. And very passionate about what we're going to be talking about today.
Good. So let's get started.
Fantastic.
So Tracy, if you can quickly introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm Tracy van der Schijf. Everyone always struggles with that surname, and we had a lot of fun at Ignite because I tried to explain to people that you pronounce it very similar to Skype. It's that same SK sound, but then obviously, as we know, that soon is going to be Teams. So I just introduced myself to everyone as Tracy van der Teams. I thought that would work quite well. But yes, so I have my own company, and my company motto is to facilitate the evolution of human capability. And that's definitely why Jussi and I get along so well, because we're so passionate about helping companies, obviously, to adopt systems and understand the psychology behind it. So I'm a crazy biker chick. I write way too many blogs. Everyone thinks I don't have a life, but I'm really all about empowering people. So yes, I'm very excited to be here today.
Thank you, Tracy. So about myself, my name is Jussi. So we have a very Finnish audience here. Everyone knows my first name, but when I'm outside of Finland, my first name is obviously always, I need some time to explain where it comes from. So I'm also an MVP from 2013 to 2016. I'm a main organizer of SharePoint Saturday Helsinki and Zurich. Actually, SharePoint Saturday Helsinki will be at the 27th of January in 2018, so mark the date. I'm also main community lead for Microsoft 365 community group here in Zurich. And I'm on all those conferences in the Microsoft SharePoint world, usually SharePoint Saturdays, European Collaboration Summit, and European SharePoint conference. Actually, just this weekend, I will be in Paris, and I think also you, Tracy, will be at the SharePoint Saturday. Is that right?
I don't know. So this weekend, yes, we've got, it's a very, very busy time for South Africa because we had SharePoint Saturday Durban this past weekend. We've got SharePoint Saturday Johannesburg on this coming Saturday. And then the week after, we've got it in Cape Town. Beautiful, nice.
Oh, wow.
And then we're also doing an extremely crazy road trip. We're throwing a lot of crazy people in a bus. And we're doing a road trip all the way from Johannesburg through the Free State, which is Bloemfontein, down the coast, all the way to Cape Town. So it's going to be a very, very crazy 2 weeks for me, for sure.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
You should join us next year, Jussi, for sure.
Yeah, I will. I will definitely. Okay, great. So enough about ourselves. So let's quickly talk about the contents of this webinar. So first, we want to look into what is digital literacy and how does Office 365 support it, and actually why it is so important. And so that is kind of the main topic of Tracy, and you can tell us, Tracy, about your thoughts and ideas around that and why it is so important. Then we also want to look into return on investment on training. If you have certain projects in SharePoint or in Office 365, usually the budget is cut by end user training, and actually it makes no sense because you have a really, really big return on investment when you do trainings right. And this is something what we want to show here. And also, how does digital literacy affect user adoption? So this is also one of the topics. And then in the end, we have a bit of a special topic since Tracy has been at Ignite. So we will talk a bit about how she felt user adoption at the Ignite and how Microsoft sees that certain topic.
Absolutely.
Anything to add, Tracy? Or is that
I think on my side, just to check, and that's typical. If you throw a bunch of IT people into a room and you make us do a webinar, everyone's got their same own crazy ideas. So I just want to check and confirm that you're going to be displaying and presenting from your side, Jussi. And then that will be me, and we can start getting chatting. I'm very excited to chat to you about.
Okay, let's get started. So,
fantastic.
Can you tell us what is digital literacy and how does Office 365 support it?
Okay, so I think PC literacy, most of us kind of has an idea, or maybe I'm lying to myself. I don't think we have an idea what PC literacy is, but everyone's got an idea of what they think the idea of PC literacy is. But most people kind of know that PC literacy is being able to use your computer, it's being able to use shortcuts, use programs, etc. And digital literacy, I'm not going to say it's a new phrase. It's been around a couple of years, but it's still quite unknown because we actually start to add extra soft skills because of how the world around us has evolved. If you think most companies are starting to become, or they want to become, digital first companies, then the type of skills you need is different. And if I think of digital literacy, it's all about being efficient, obviously, but being able to curate and to find and to create content. I mean, that's the big thing where digital literacy comes from. So it's PC literacy and a lot of soft skills added to actually just make us more agile and faster in the digital world.
Okay. So would you say that now in the age of digital transformation, actually people becoming digital or PC literate is actually even more important than it used to be?
It definitely is, because if I have to just think back, and I say this with the utmost love and appreciation to everyone who struggles in the industry, but because I've got to be so careful, we step on toes, remember. But if I just think of what the skills was like before, I mean, let's just see how much things have changed in this last year. And if I have to just think of what the skills were like before and how we didn't cope, then with all the improvements and added apps and services, we're actually going to struggle more and more. So if we don't get up to speed quickly and if we don't evolve with the world around us, it's going to be a problem. So so I already feel I'm not even looking at the current skills. I'm not even looking at what the current requirements are. I'm still looking at where we were in the past and that we were lacking then already and that we have to catch up. So just based on where we've come from, I feel that there's a huge problem and that we have to actually scale up.
I fully agree on that. Do you feel that the customers are aware of this?
I definitely don't, Jussi. So going into sessions and not pointing fingers at specific companies, but I was in a session with a CIO a couple of weeks ago of quite a large company in South Africa, and we spoke about this specifically. And he made it quite clear that he doesn't feel that digital literacy is something we should focus on in the company. And I asked him why, and he said to me that everyone in the company is PC literate. So so I was quite interested as to how they evaluated the company. Was it certain tests that they'd done, or how did they know that? So I asked him, why does he say that the company is PC literate? And he said that because the job descriptions when people apply for jobs says you must be PC literate. Then, of course, based on that, we know that everyone is. So, so we know that's the biggest lie, because the problem is people only know what they know. And if I had to measure my skills against what I know, I'd say I'm a superstar. I'm an absolute rock star, okay? But take a simple example of Excel, where I think 302 of the functions in Excel doesn't even appear on the ribbon. People don't even know they exist. So what are we measuring ourselves against? So definitely we're not there. We're going to have to pay some serious attention to this.
Hey,
I remember.
Quick question, guys. We can't see your presentation. Is it on, Jussi?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if it's.
I will. Oh, okay. It somehow stopped.
Yeah. So.
There again.
It's okay. We're so interesting, Jussi. Who needs pictures?
Yes. Thank you.
There we go. At least we haven't covered a lot.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
All good.
Tracy, it's also I think a matter of age. I think Amy made this really great example about using the stove.
Yes.
That we have this kind of induction stove, but use it in as well.
Okay, so I just had a little bit of the audio going there. I just want to check. Yes, I can definitely remember that. How clear is the sound from my side at the moment, guys? Remember, South Africa doesn't have great bandwidth. So I just want to check whether the audio is still good from my side.
For me, it works perfectly.
Okay, cool. So what I heard, I just had a bit of an underwater experience there from Jussi. That's bandwidth, and that's the world for you. So what Jussi just mentioned is I've done quite a lot of research as to why some people struggle with digital literacy and some people don't. And of course, I went into that whole discussion of age groups, which stepped on some toes. Okay, so if you look at the age groups, and I mean, millennials become such a swear word, sadly, and it's not supposed to be, but there is something important behind it. Is that when I go to conferences, people tell me that we don't have to train people anymore, right? They're saying that it's simply not necessary, because if a system is intuitive enough, then people won't need training. And I didn't quite agree with that. So just on your side, Jussi, the presentation's gone down again. Just shout if you want me to present from my side. So anyway, so what's important for me there is I use the example of an induction stove. So that's a stove that works with magnets. You can put your hand on the stove and it actually doesn't burn your hand. And it's a very sleek, sexy looking design. And it's very new age, and I'd call that intuitive, right? But funny enough, most people still won't put their hand on the stove. And it's because we've come from a background where we've been burnt by stoves before. And that's exactly how software works. If you've worked on older versions of software, then it's much more difficult to adopt new software. For anyone who's never worked on a previous version of SharePoint or Excel, it's much easier to adapt to the new one because you just click and try things. And that's why a 2-year-old can use an iPad and very easily just start using it. It's not so much intuitive design as it is the fact that we don't have muscle memory with old systems. The next thing that I started researching quite a bit about was what we call the 8 pillars of digital literacy. So there's many more, and I didn't come up with these. So let's just sort that out. I definitely didn't define the 8 pillars of digital literacy, and you get a lot of different methodologies around it. So if you look at the 8 pillars of digital literacy, you also get the 8 C's of digital literacy. So there's a lot of cool methodology out there that you guys can use. That definitely does help a bit when you start looking at this. And for me, because I'm so passionate about this, I said that it's not just about teaching people new skills. It's not about going into a company and saying, hey guys, learn how to use Microsoft Teams, or you know what, we're going to teach you how to use Excel today, or something like that. For me, there's much more to it. For me, it's about helping users learn the digital literacy skills they need to actually do much more than just their everyday work. And if we go and look at these type of things, it's actually incredible how Microsoft, how apart from the fact that Office 365 adoption is affected by this, it's also really incredible with how it supports Office 365 adoption. And I'm going to just spend a couple of minutes and go through some of these with you. So if you look at these, and of course I've written some magazine articles about this as well, and I've put a lot of content out there. You're welcome to use any of these in your companies. I mean, if it can help you get the message across. But think about taking a launch in your company about getting people to be digitally literate, and look at addressing these different areas, and you'll understand how lacking the skills are. So if we look at critical thinking and evaluation, for example, now critical thinking and evaluation is all about being able to analyze and evaluate content to be able to make better decisions, of course. I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to do. And if I think of Office 365, what are the tools that we have in Office 365 to help us with these? And if I just think projects online or even Planner, think of using Excel and Access and Power BI that gives us better data. I mean, making real-time on-the-fly decisions. These are the things that helps us to be critical thinkers and to make better evaluations on data. So this is a very good skill to have and to understand what that means. But all of the Microsoft Office 365 apps and services actually allows us, even think of your tasks and of Flow and of using Power Apps, that helps us to get the information that it is that we need to make better decisions. So the next thing I'm going to touch base on is e-safety. So e-safety, if we talk about these things, we actually immediately think about things like passwords. We think about users accessing websites and being in unprotected environments. So e-safety is all about managing that risk or being protected from the unlikely cause of danger, risk, or injury, of course, online. And a lot of people are clueless to this, guys. I mean, they don't understand how big the impact is. Until someone hasn't had online fraud, they actually aren't careful enough about these type of things. So it's very important that we share with users what it means to be e-safe. What are the things we have to be wary of? Where do they have to be careful? I mean, change your passwords often. Don't keep them in a place where people can find them. It's also about mobility and security. So people who access company networks from their mobile phones, how do we actually manage that? And if I think on the e-safety side and how Microsoft actually helps us, there's so many different levels out there. If I just think Azure Information Protection, or if I just think on the 365 side as well, how OneDrive allows us to, for example, only share content for a limited time with expiry dates. These are all the type of things that helps us with e-safety. So before I carry on, I just want to make sure that everyone's still on the webinar. So Esther is still around and I'm still nice and clear for you guys to just to hear me and so that I can carry on. So the next part of this digital literacy wheel that I want to just touch base on quickly is cultural and social understanding. And I'm sure that we're all in an environment these days where everyone's kind of just a little bit sensitive about things. Okay. So we need to be self-aware to be able to understand, to be sensitive to other people. And there's so many things that, that adds up to cultural and social understanding. If you just think language, religion, culture, the location where we stay, the area where we come from, the whole male-female thing. I mean, all of us just deals with things different. And like I said, very sensitive topics these days. And again, if we help users to understand these things a little bit better, to understand how we should be careful when we share content, that we should be aware of being sensitive to people's feelings and helping people, then the one thing that comes up with for this as well is that the more we share with each other, the more we can understand each other's cultures and the social environments. So think of Yammer. If we are in a company that has a lot of different locations across the world, Yammer brings people together. Microsoft Teams brings people together. The translator in Skype for Business, I mean, how amazing is that? That I can have a conversation with someone who doesn't speak the same language that I do. So how great is that Office 365 adopts and supports it, but it's also good for us to help users understand what that actually means, the cultural and social understanding of things. So the next pillar I'd like to move on to is collaboration. Now, this has been a buzzword in the industry for many, many years. I think a lot of people think they know what collaboration means, but of course, it's about working together. Collaboration is the action of working with someone to produce something. And there's a lot of collaboration tools out there. There's been a lot of talk in Microsoft in the last year as well, as people are very, very confused as to when they should use what. So they're kind of like going like, oh, there's Microsoft Teams now. Should we not use Yammer anymore? And what about groups? And what about Skype? And it's just about finding that place where you actually find the app or the service that helps you to collaborate better with people, to share content, to work on content together. So intranets is a perfect example of well, intranets is more of a one-way communication, but intranets has become a two-way communication where people can, through the use of other apps and services, also be able to communicate and collaborate better. Think co-authoring on OneDrive as well. Perfect example for collaboration. So definitely on that point, Microsoft is helping us to deliver the tools for us to be able to collaborate better. But it's important that your users understand what collaboration is and how we can actually advance our skills when it comes to collaboration. The next one up in my 8 pillars of digital literacy is the curation of content. So many times we don't always create the content from scratch, but we gather content and we then share them and modify it and put content together. So this is a very creative process as well. And if I just think the curation of content, because we've got so much content out there that we can use these days, we don't have to do everything from scratch. But the curation of content, the type of apps that Microsoft supplies us to be brilliant curators is Sway, for example. Sway, PowerPoint, I mean, Yammer, Visio, using Stream as well to share videos and things. What an amazing platform for employees in your company to be able to bring content together, to share content, and then be able to put it together and put it out there in the world for them to use. So curation of content is definitely a very important one for me when it comes to digital literacy. Then before I carry on, is Jussi back yet?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I definitely can hear you, Jussi. I've just carried on regardless.
Thank you.
If you don't mind. So you're welcome to jump in at any time.
Yeah, no, it's great. Very, very interesting. Just my browser stopped working, so needed to restart. So sorry for that. Okay, but
no, please don't worry.
Very interesting. Okay, please continue.
I'm nearly finished with those, yeah. And Jussi luckily knows me well enough to know that if he doesn't stop me, I'll carry on forever. So I'm going to quickly just finish. That's typical. And I'm a woman as well, so it's even worse. We just don't stop talking. So proficient communicator, and that's so funny because that's actually a pun because we just spoke about that. I'm a brilliant proficient communicator, but I don't always know if I talk too much at the right time. So being a proficient communicator is not just about voicing your opinion; it's about voicing your opinion in the right area, having conversations in the right places. And it's not just about talking, it's about writing, and there's all different other mediums that we can use as well. And man, I just get a real warm place. My heart just warms up when I think Microsoft Teams, because I absolutely love Microsoft Teams. What a fantastic tool that that Microsoft has brought out for us to actually help us to be able to communicate better with each other and to understand each other. Again, if we think those type of things, think announcements, think blogs and discussions, discussion boards on SharePoint, stream and video, Sway. What beautiful, beautiful ways to communicate better with people. Email and phones are definitely not the only communication tool we have anymore. So much has been opened up for us, and it's for us to choose the best medium to be able to have the best platform to communicate with each other.
I think this is
I think we're nearly through this.
Yeah,
yes.
This is very interesting. So
yes.
with Microsoft, as you know, they are really feature driven. So Microsoft gives us this biodiverse landscape of tools, what we can use, and as how I feel it, that most end users are a bit overwhelmed with what they should use when. And I think also, as you said before, digital literacy is really a good way to teach users what should they use when, in which use case, and so on. And as we can see, Teams is the new whiz kid of Microsoft. So they are trying to tie in everything in Teams, and Yammer. Let's see what happens with Yammer in the near future. But we can definitely see a clear path where Microsoft is going, and in that way, I think it will be much easier in the future about which tools we should use in which use case when it comes in terms of collaboration.
Okay. I definitely think it will, Jussi. And if I could add to that, I think makes me very stubborn, because sometimes we want a manual upfront that tells us what to do, and but then we also insist on choice, and that's been very contrasting effect, because even though we want to choose, we also want to be told what to choose. So I think that's been quite a struggle for everyone.
Okay, let's go further. I think you're sharing now the screen. I think
I am. So I'm going to just get
keep on sharing. It's fine, because I think my
no problem. I just want to check the time as well. So it's past at the moment. You're welcome to. So you can definitely just see if you want to go back into your questions, and I can just paste the slides according to that.
So you were talking now a lot about digital literacy and training, and I think you do a lot of training for customers and end users, and also I think you do digital literacy training yourself. So do you feel, is there any return on investment with that?
There definitely is, Jussi. So again, people want statistics, right? It's a difficult thing to prove non-tangible things to companies, because skill is a very difficult thing to measure. But part of the research that I've been doing is that I found some statistics that actually prove this. So I found this great article, this research that was done, and the links are there as well. So over a 3, 4, 5 year period in 33 countries, it was about 220,000 people they tested. They went and looked at PC literacy specifics. So it wasn't Office 365 literacy, but they looked at how well people use computers. And I was absolutely shocked to see that I could easily say about 75% of the people out there actually don't use their computers well. They're not really efficient. And again, remember, we only know what we know, which is a problematic thing. And if I look at these statistics, they just did a breakup, and we don't have to read through all of this now, but they broke it up into different levels, saying that some people are below terrible, some people are poor, medium, strong. But to give you an idea that the statistics that they did, this top 5%, if I had to go back to the previous screen, this top 5% is very strong IT users. To give you an idea, these are people that are already going to conferences. These are people that are sitting on webinars already. These are people delivering content and writing blogs, which means we can nearly look at a 95% of our employees that actually really needs that help. So great statistics to base it on, and it really helped me to get to a point where I could do a summary. Now, to do the ROI calculation, I went and looked at some other studies where they say that people, again, say it's statistics, and we can share that afterwards as well, that you can save up to 33 minutes productive time a day if people had gone through basic PC literacy training. Now, I know it's more than that, and you know it's more than that, Jussi, but let's work on 33 minutes a day. And I did a calculation there. I'm more than welcome to share the ROI calculation with anyone else there that wants to try it. But I just worked on 69% of my users that goes through a one-day training course for PC literacy. And I worked out the cost. And it was astonishing that I came to a 950% ROI. That huge. You cannot even reach with IT projects. And this is provable again and again. I'd gladly share this with people out there. And when you start sharing figures like this with companies, then they start understanding the benefit of actually training their people.
I mean, it's interesting. The ROI, how you measure it, is so huge. But still, when you talk to customers or managers, they still don't really try to seem to grasp it or to get it. What do you think could be the reason because of that? Do you have any idea?
I'm going to step on a lot of toes today. Wow, I better not give names and companies, but this is just, I mean, I definitely won't know. So company ABC, user XYZ. The thing that happens in companies, and again, we've spoken about this, Jussi. I mean, this is exactly why we make the decisions we do. The people in companies that are making decisions for training are normally very PC literate. So the guy or the department that says we need training or not are in that top 5%. It's the IT department or maybe the human resources and learning and development department. So their skills are much higher than the other 69% of the users. So they're making decisions for training, whether there's a requirement based on what their skills are. So saying that everyone in the company is okay because I'm kind of okay. That's the first problem that we have, is that those people are making the decisions. And then secondly, because evaluations are not happening in companies do not know how big the problem is. Because it's very easy. You know, as humans, we say that if we ignore something, it goes away. So it's only when companies actually evaluate it. And I'm actually busy building a tool for doing digital literacy evaluation in companies that I'm going to expose worldwide for anyone globally to use. But so that companies can put all their users through a test to actually get stats back, and I can give them the reports. So what I was thinking is to expose the tool for free to everyone so that we can gather that data and actually have better data out there in the world. Because that's one of the problems we have, is that we actually don't have data. We know that there's a problem. We don't know how big the problem is.
Yeah, that's very good. Also, I think what I noticed in my discussions with customers, that most or a lot of them say also, it's impossible to train everyone. You know, the costs will skyrocket like this. Of course, if you send every single one to a day course, this is not really working. So we need to find different ways of teaching end users. We need to find different modes of teaching PC literacy, of teaching how to use those applications. So we have this very fast changing digital world, and it gets faster and faster and faster. And the training methods we are used to, they are just not coping with it anymore. So in that way, we need to find different ways. And there are different ways. And this is obviously a part of a next webinar coming between us.
Absolutely.
But this is kind of one of the main problems. I see that there is this thinking that, okay, we cannot teach everyone. And people don't educate themselves. Hey, there are actually ways to do that.
Yes, I think I've got something to add to that. So yes, I'm quite excited for our next webinar as well. So we're not going to let the cat out the bag, but there are some really, really great tools out there that you can also use that really adds value. There's also a lot of tools that's not adding value. Okay, so I've always been resistant to it, but it's great for me when I do come across a tool that really works well. But also something that I do in training that I tell companies, and there's a crazy term that I use. If people go to war, soldiers go to war and they come back, they call it debriefing, where you have to come back and share with a team and talk to your team. So I always tell my students that I instruct them to often, and not that I'm saying that my training is war, but it is sometimes a bit crazy. I always instruct my students to go back and debrief to their departments, because firstly, we learn a lot faster when we share. So if I learn a new skill today, every time I tell someone else about that skill, I reaffirm that skill and I learn faster. So number one, it picks up how fast you learn. And number two, if a group of 10 people have come for training, and I always tell them that they're so privileged to sit in the training and that the company has paid for them to come there, but there might be 100 others that didn't have the privilege, then I tell them, please go back and tell 10 other people, because that's how we share the love. That's how people end up training each other as well.
Yeah,
and
very, very good. And if I can add something to this, so the reason why people learn better when they share is obviously a bit linked to our brains and how we work. So the thing is that if we share something and teach some things to someone else, and that person learns and actually gets successful, this creates a positive emotion in us as the one who is teaching.
Affirmation.
And whenever we learn something or do something and we can link it to an emotion, it's somehow hardwired in our brain. So that's why when we can invoke emotion during a learning or a teaching process, it is actually very, very beneficial for all of us. And this basically just supports that what you said, Tracy, that we learn much better when we share things.
Absolutely, and I think that ties into that cool discussions we had in Monaco about gamification and stuff. There's so much psychology behind it, but we do feel good. If I can help someone else, the next time there's more urge of me to help someone else, and it grows. It's like a fire that grows, which is just incredible. So that's very, very important to me, yes.
Okay, let's go forward. So why would poor digital literacy affect your Office 365 user adoption?
Okay, so like I said, that's a catch-22. I think you might not have been on the call there. Is in one way, I say that if people aren't digitally literate, it affects user adoption of 365. In another sense, I'm saying that Office 365 supports digital literacy, so it's a bit of a catch-22, but you need to get those basic skills in place. So once you have the basic skills in place, then Microsoft delivers the tools for us to be even more digitally literate. But the problem with people that aren't literate in that way is that we're scared to use programs. Yes. So people don't resist new programs because they're trying to be difficult. Okay, I think we all know one person who is, okay, but most of the time people don't. We don't want to share. We don't want to try something new because I'm so scared, because I'm nervous. I'm not scared. I don't know how this new program's going to work. I'm so scared I break something. And again, I'm going to talk about age groups. So I'm a very proud Gen X, okay, so in my 40s, and we came from corporate environments where we were told if you touch that, you're fired. If you break that, you're not getting your bonus, If you go there, you'll never be allowed to go there. So we've got this inherent fear as well, where we're not allowed to play and learn. And technology has changed where we actually need to play to learn. We need to mess around with things. So we need to build decent systems where people can't break things, where those things are in place so that people can learn. And if people then are digitally literate, it means they'll have more freedom and more wanting to be able to try new things. And you'll eventually do less training, if that makes sense as well.
Yeah, this brings it to the point, Tracy. I mean, when you look at our upbringing as human beings, we start learning through play, and we play and play and play until we go to school. And in the school, no, you can't play anymore. And luckily in Finland, they do that a bit different. So one of the best education system in Finland. But the thing is that people, they hate to feel stupid. So when you are in a program and you don't know how it goes forward and what to do now, people start to feel stupid, and then it creates a really bad emotion to this. It's I don't want to use this thing, and then the kind of the user adoption and really suffers because of that. So you need to find ways to kind of support the user from the first second when she or he comes to this software. And this is a hard thing to do. Yeah. Okay, next
It is, because
slide.
we have to change. Yeah, you're right, because we have to completely change the way the cultures works in company as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So
I think
as a conclusion, maybe we can say, if you click forward.
Absolutely. You tell me when to click, Jussi, and I'll click.
Yeah. So that we can basically say in a conclusion that digital literacy or end user training can give superpowers to end users.
Absolutely.
So as we could see from the ROI metrics, if you click again, please.
I will. There we go.
So the goal is to provide meaningful training content and where and when the user needs it the most. So that really in that particular time, in the particular moment, the user needs help if he or she needs help in that. So now in the end, if we go one forward, we could maybe still 5 minutes, if we have still 5 minutes time. Maybe we could still quickly talk about Ignite. So you have been to Ignite and talked about user adoption and digital literacy there. How was it when you were there talking to the Microsoft people or talking to the community? How do they see this whole user adoption topic? Is it on the radar on them, or are we the only ones doing stuff around it?
It's just me and you, Jussi. It's going to be a struggle.
Oh, no.
No, not at all. If I have to look the last couple of years, Jussi, a big thing that's changed, and I'm definitely not I'm not trying to generalize, but something that I've seen a lot from consultants and everyone is that a big focus used to be on selling licenses. So it's number of seats. And a big focus have shifted to consumption. So over the last year and stuff, we said it's all good and well that companies have licenses, but are they actually using it? Because even if you look at statistics and you say that, oh no, you know what? Out of my 1,000 users, 800 of them have got signed into Skype. We know that means nothing. So a big focus for Microsoft these days is actually tracking if people are using the apps and services and if they're using it efficiently. And if you think of that, then that's user adoption. It's definitely not just a question of whether you have people that has a license and they have access to something, but they're starting to track and monitor whether things are being used and whether it does improve the environments in which they work. Is it adding value? So definitely a big thing on the radar for Microsoft and for all the consultants, for everyone, all the businesses that I spoke to. User adoption is a big hot topic for sure.
So we are the first pioneers doing our work around that. But this is really great to hear. So. Yeah, good.
I do. Listen, don't make. Sorry, Jussi, just to mention, don't make a mistake. There's still very many people that are more technically minded, that are more solution focused, and it's about finding a place where we can work together and we can add value to each other, because they shouldn't be us and we shouldn't be them. You know, it's about working together and making a success of it, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay, great. So I think we are out of time right now. Sorry for the technical issues on my end. We tested it many times, but you know,
no problem.
Technology sometimes has its own mind. Okay,
but we made it work, Jussi, and that's all that matters. We made it work.
So
we're a good team.
So
I think you're so great. Yeah, don't worry about the technology. Okay. Your guys are so awesome that it was really nice to learn new things.
Okay,
that's wonderful.
So thanks everyone for attending. If you have some feedback, share it on Twitter with the hashtag #SuperUserAdoption. So we will have a look in Twitter afterwards. I think there was a recording, Asta, is that correct?
Yes, at latest tomorrow we will send it to you.
Yeah, we can share it around.
Oh, fantastic.
And as we already said, we have pitched a bit the second webinar coming up where we will talk a bit more about tools who can help end users to become literate and actually to drive user adoption. So this will be the next topic. Maybe after a few weeks. So when Tracy has finished her crazy road trip. Yes.
Wow.
So say hi to Ali, and the Christian is also with you, right? Christian.
Yes, he is. Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Take care of those guys.
Well, I need to take care of myself because they're all crazy. Okay, so I'm going to go for therapy after the bus trip.
Yeah. So, Asta, did we have any questions from the audience?
No, not from the chat, but I think they will contact you later, and we can contact them as well afterwards when we send the webinar replay. So please just ask if you have any questions afterwards and send us an email or ask on Twitter.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. I guess we are here. Else? Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Asta. It was fun.
Thank you so much, Jussi. Always fun working together. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.